Hi, we're going to make some blood building syrup here, and this is a great recipe. It's on our blog site and we're going to actually show you how to make it. So what we're going to do is I have a really nice induction heater here and a nice big pot because we're going to make a double batch because everybody at our school loves this recipe so much. And what we're going to do to start is we have 2 quarts of water, or 4 quarts of water actually. Oh, you gotta open it. And we're going to put that in, and we have some herbs here that we're going to use. These are Chinese herbs, and sometimes you can find them online if you have a local acupuncturist, or like here at the Oriental Healing Arts Center, we do carry these in our herbal pharmacy. This is Huang Qi, which is astragalus root, Tian Mendong, which tonifies yin. We've got some American ginseng root here, Shu De Huang, which is a blood builder, and then 2 berries, which are also excellent at building blood. This is guchitsa. It's also known as goji berry, commonly, wolfberry, and this is hung zhao, which is red date. And these are all dried. So we're going to go ahead and put these into the water here and turn it on and start letting that boil. Okay, so we've got the herbs in the water, and we've got it on high right now, so we're going to bring this up to a boil. To this we're going to add some dried fruit. And the dried fruit we have are dried figs, dried plums, which are also called prunes, but people don't buy them as much as prunes, so they changed the name on that. And this is my secret ingredient. This is not in the original recipe. But I love the way it tastes in the blood building syrup, so I add it as my secret. This is dried cherries. And we're going to go ahead and put this right in with the herbs. So what this is going to do now, as soon as it comes up to a boil, we're going to turn it down a little bit and let it simmer, simmer a little bit on a medium heat. And this needs to simmer and cook down. What's going to happen is this is going to start to thicken up and boil into a syrup. And to get the syrup part, we're going to let the liquid cook about halfway down. So that's going to take anywhere from maybe 1 to 2 hours. So we're just going to let that go. Okay, Seraphim, so you've taken the blood building syrup and tried it, and you've also given it to a few people to try. Would you like to share an experience about it?
Sure. One of my friends, he runs a section of a business and goes to college for management and things like that, and has to do lots of other errands. So I gave some to him because he's seeming drained and getting depressed. And after a few days of taking it, he started getting more energy and more vitality back. It's really nice.
Alright, James, you want to say anything about taking the blood building syrup or sharing it with friends, having a blood building party?
Sure. Well, I took it myself a couple weeks ago when we made it in class, and I kind of run cold in general, and it was pretty cold here when we made it, and I noticed within like probably 15-20 minutes of drinking it, it just felt more invigorated and warm. And I had to go on a road trip right after class to Fairbanks last time, and the whole like 6-hour drive up there almost, I was just like really chatty and talkative, and it just made me feel really invigorated. And then I gave the bottle to a friend of mine who hosted myself in Fairbanks, and it was about 25 below up there to 30 below up in Fairbanks, and he had been talking about feeling just really drained, and this lack of sunlight was getting to him, and just kind of lethargic in general. So we were taking that together for the 3 days that I was up in Fairbanks, and every day he was feeling like a little bit better and kind of had the same reaction that I did. And he's been taking it since I left, and said that it's been really helping getting through some of the winter blues in Fairbanks. So it's very warming and it's nice.
Okay, this is long pepper, and long pepper is an herb that's used in Ayurvedic medicine. I'm able to get it locally at our wonderful Summit Spice and Tea. And on here, long pepper, if you look at it, it's hard. It's a long, kind of like a pine cone looking, but it's really hard. And we have to actually grind it in order to get the powder that we need for the syrup here. So what I have here is just a coffee grinder, and I use this one specifically for herbs, so it only gets used for grinding herbs. And I'm going to take the lid off here, and we're going to put the long pepper in here. And so this was about half a little jar of the long pepper, and I'm going to grind all of that because we're making a double batch. So you have to grind it up quite a bit, and there we have nice powder out from it. It still has a little bit of chunks in it that probably are not going to grind. So what we're going to do is when we actually put this into the syrup, we're going to put it through a very fine mesh strainer and get all of the little chunky pieces out of it. Oh yeah, the QiGong here is getting really nice and big. You can see how some of the herbs plump up. Here's some of the American ginseng. I'll have the Huang Qi right here. This is the Tianmendong. This was the one that was flat and dry in the beginning, and it turns out really nice and plump. I think you can probably eat that one. Hong Zhao, the red dates here, and then you can see the Guchitsa, goji berries. Some of the plums. Oh, it's smelling good. This has cooked down several inches, you can kind of see here, and it's been about 2 hours. So the consistency here still has liquid in it, but it's going to be nice and thick. So what I'm going to do next is just kind of dig around, and I'm going to take out some of the herbs because we're going to blend this. And a few of the herbs in here do not blend very well. So this right here is the American ginseng, and I'm going to go ahead and take all of that out because it doesn't blend up very well. And I'm also going to take the Huang Qi out, and that was the kind of woody looking herb, this astragalus. So right here, that one also will not blend very well. What I'm going to do now is blend the mixture. And I've taken out the woody fibrous herbs that are not going to blend very well. So you can see here the Huang Qi and the American ginseng root. You can eat this, just don't eat too much of it at one time. The Huang Qi is very fibrous and it doesn't taste very good. So I've got a nice mixture here, and what we're going to do is I have an immersion blender which I found works really nicely, and I'm going to put this in and just pulse it a little bit and start breaking things up. And if I did leave any of the other herbs in there, it's not going to hurt it, it's just a little bit hard on the blender. So we've blended this up, and you can see it doesn't, I'm going to actually blend it a little tiny bit more because there's some at the bottom that didn't make it in. And you can see how it's turning into this thick substance now. So let me give this a couple more pulses to get what's at the bottom there. Now what we're going to do is strain this. So I have just a glass bowl that we're going to put this into, a nice big strainer. And what I'm going to do is pour some of this in. And when you pour it in, I have a spoon here. I'm going to take and stir it around. And you have to work with it a little bit. But it gets all the lumpy part out so that it's really nice and smooth. Okay, so we're going to be left with a pulp here that's really thick and has a lot of seeds and things in it. And if you're kind of stirring this around the strainer, you're going to get to a point where no more liquid is coming out. And so that's what we want. Give this a little bit more here. And with this right here, you can pretty much either throw this away or use it as composting if you want. Alright, we're going to go to phase 2, which is cooking up the spices, and then we're going to add the spices once they're kind of sauteed back into the liquid here. So this is how much liquid we got from a double batch. It's almost 2 quarts. And what we're going to do now is I'm going to turn this back on. And I'm going to turn the power down just a little bit. So we're going to start out with ghee, and ghee is a clarified butter. You can find it in Alaska. It's pretty easy to find in the grocery stores. Natural Pantry, our wonderful Organic Oasis next door carries it. It's sometimes found in Indian food sections. And for this, we're going to use about 4 to 6 tablespoons. I'm going to eyeball this. And the ghee does melt pretty quickly. And it's about 2, 3. This makes it really, gives it a nice full texture and flavor. The ghee is really nice for tonifying jing. It's a little bit more here. Okay. And I'm going to wipe this off because I realize I just used my spoon. Okay, as the ghee is melting here, we're going to add some spices to it. So we're going to add about a small handful of salt. This is pink Himalayan salt. You want a salt that's really nice and nutritious. And we're going to add some cloves. This is ground cloves. I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of cloves. And long pepper we've got, I'll put that in last, and some cardamom. And let's see, cardamom is going to be about 2 teaspoons. Okay, I'm going to turn this down. That's smelling really good. So on the long pepper here, this is the one that we ground up earlier. And what I'm going to do is take this in with a little small strainer. I'm just going to dump all that in. And that's going to be right about 2 tablespoons. 2 to 4 tablespoons of long pepper. And if I shake this out here, it's going to give us a nice amount. But we're going to get quite a bit of crunchy and thick part that doesn't blend out. And this part right here you can just throw away. It won't all blend up, but if you add this into the mixture, it makes it crunchy and it's not good in there. Okay, that looks like about what we're going to get there. So on here I'm just going to take and stir this up a little bit. The spices are smelling really, really good, and that's what you want. You don't need it to cook too much. You just need the ghee to really get in and start dissolving and heating up, warming up the spices. Okay, so I'm going to add this back now. I'm going to change pans here. And I'm also going to turn this up just a little bit. So what I'm going to do is add this mixture into the large pan. Get all those really nice spices. All the spices here are very warming and very invigorating. So they're going to take all of the herbs that we used and the fruit, and they're going to actually help the body move it. So you can see the consistency of the liquid here. It's thick and syrupy, like it's got a really nice consistency to it. There's all that in there. I'm going to stir that up just a little bit here. And we're going to add some molasses. And the molasses is our last ingredient. We're going to let that cook for about 10 minutes altogether. So let's see. For that much, we're going to want about 2 cups of molasses. James, Sarah from my assistants did not open the molasses first. Okay, I'm just going to pour this in. And this is a pretty large bottle of molasses, so I'm going to use about probably a little bit more than half of this. Molasses are really nice for building blood. However, they are not too good for somebody who experiences edema. Alright, that's a little bit more than half the bottle of molasses. So we're going to stir that up really nicely. And you can see this is really just beautiful, smooth, and velvety looking. The ghee blends so nicely into this. James, how did you describe this? It tastes like a pumpkin pie made in India. Okay, so once this is cooked for about 10 minutes, then we're going to turn it off and we're going to put it back into our jar here so that we can easily transfer it into some jars. So we're going to just pour this into some jars, and this is going to sit in the refrigerator when we're done, and we'll have a dosage on this is going to be a spoonful in a little bit of hot water. We'll make up a dose here at the end. Alright, there we go. So we've got 2 nice quart jars and enough for the camera crew. Okay, so I have in this cup about this much hot water, and with that I'm going to put in just a spoonful of the syrup here. Stir that up a little bit, and that is 1 dose. Anybody want to try it?
Thank you. It's really good.
All right.
Smooth.
Smooth, there you go. So on this, just once a day, and you'll find that pretty soon, what did you guys say, like almost immediately after taking it, the same day you started to notice something, and you take it for a few days, maybe a week or 2, and just really go with how you feel. It's not something that you take long term, just when you need it. And keep it in the refrigerator. It will keep really nicely in the refrigerator for maybe 2 months, maybe up to 3. You'll notice the smell will go off, or it can get mold on it if it's too old. So, but hopefully you can share it with people and it won't last that long.